fun friends diving deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robyn on the mic.
Welcome to Lisa and Robyn on the mic. You are listening on 1590 AM, 95.3 FM on WSMN.live. And we're sort of live on Facebook, but only on Robyn's personal page.
Keep going. I'm trying to do it right now.
And we are live on YouTube. I will say that, is it the eclipse that's breaking all my technology? Is it my energy fields that's breaking all the technology? But my phone, within 1 week, my phone died, my Bluetooth died, my email died, and we cannot get on Facebook. I think it's me. It's my distaste for the technology. It knows. It's like, you don't even like me.
It might be it might still be effects of the solar eclipse.
Yeah, no one else is talking about it, though. And Facebook happened a little bit before. So we are live on Robyn's personal page. Find Robyn Brandis.
I'm trying to get us right now. It won't let me.
I love technology, as she says sarcastically as she's sneering.
I know. Oh, here we go. We might have that.
And welcome to the happy hour, or happy 2 hours.
Yes, happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday.
I listen. Okay, I have a question for you.
Okay, and I have a question for you.
If you could live in a movie,
yes,
what movie would it be?
Ooh. I
think you probably already know the answer to mine.
Oh, wow. A Monty Python movie.
Yeah, that's a good one. Mine would be Mamma Mia.
Really?
Well, it's Greece. It's beautiful water. There's love and there's singing, and it's just, there's a couple sad little spots, but man, like if I had to do what's that, Groundhog Day?
Over again?
Yeah.
You would do that?
I'd probably Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
I listened to it on the way here this morning, getting jazzed up, and I forgot my notebook, so I feel naked.
Yeah, you feel empty.
Yes. I might.
It's okay. I feel like I have enough notes for everybody today.
I might go get it in the car.
We have a little break.
Hey, did you listen? My niece, I was talking to my niece this morning, and she's like, "What are you guys talking about?" And I said, "We're going to be talking about new chapters and old chapters." And she's like, "Oh, here's a country song." And she sent it to me. So I posted it on our page about chapters. Who is it? Brett Young.
Okay.
New chapters. I know you're not huge country music, but...
Well, I'm trying to be more open to all musics. All music genres.
When I was a kid, I didn't like country music, but now I love
I guess what people love about country music is the lyrics, right? It's the feeling that you get from country.
Yes. And
I think the lyrics are a little depressing, but isn't life? So maybe I should get more into it.
I think it's about love. Like
what my friend was telling me, Amy was telling me about this country song where he basically says he's a loser.
Oh, I don't know.
And I'm like, but then we sing that other song, "I'm a loser, baby, so why don't you kill me?"
Right. I like Well, I said to Chris, I want somebody to write a country music song about me.
I'll write one.
And I want to star in it.
I will do that, and we'll make a music video.
When he says "play it again," and she's sitting on the tailgate, and just a cold beer, and I picture this big wheat field, and like on a dirt road, and a red sundress, and cowboy boots, and a cowboy hat, and blonde curly hair, and probably a Miller Lite in my hand.
Right.
And he's just sitting on the tailgate playing a song,
serenading you.
Yes. So that's why I love it.
All right.
It's like, I want to be a country song.
So I have a trouble with a couple of genres of music, and almost all of them I can I probably would be able to enjoy country live because I can enjoy almost any music live.
Yes.
When it's live, it just feels different. Plus, you're part of a community and you're all there doing the same thing together. So there's that part of
that energy.
Music.
Yes.
You know, and I don't know who, I think it was Bill Burr's wife was saying that, you know, Elvis was a thief because he appropriated music. And I thought you can't appropriate music because music is to be shared, like food. I don't think you can appropriate food because
And
I
it's
think
art. I think
food's made to be shared. And yeah, art. You can't appropriate art.
And I think you should see it as a compliment if somebody else takes, and writes your song and puts their spin on it.
Or uses it for inspiration.
Yes, I agree. That's why I'm like, I have a love-hate relationship with TikTok, because you can only use commercial sounds if you have a commercial page. And so I have a TikTok that Chris was putting in outdoor speakers at our house, and 50 Cent was playing on the speakers. So I have it. I have the video. It's showing how great the sound is at Sonos speakers. And TikTok has just now, after 3 years of it being up, and it's got like 89,000 likes on, or 89,000 views on TikTok, and it's got 199,000 views on Instagram. And TikTok has decided that I might be in violation of the rights. I even, I did a hashtag 50 Cent, so it's not like I'm saying I'm stealing it. Like hey, this is a great song, a great artist, and these are some great freaking speakers. And now they've shut it down. I'm like, come on, that's petty. It's stupid. So now they want me to vote for them to like stop the ban of TikTok, and I'm like, nope.
Right. Oh, there was a really interesting Spectator article about that.
About TikTok?
Yeah, and what the pet peeve is it's telling the children to vote.
Yes.
Right, because that's who their real demographic is
yes.
a younger generation. And the school teachers were like, don't be coming in our classroom and telling our children to be involved in your corporate lawsuit.
Right.
When they're supposed to be learning in school. This is exactly why we think you need less control and less involvement, because you don't and we kind of talk about this all the time with technology. It's like, well, technology knows no bounds. Right. True. There's no more bounds. It's part of our existence. Right. Except when it doesn't work, like when I'm trying to
that
do
horse
anything.
Is out of the barn. Not putting that one back.
That we're not putting that one back. No. Did you have a role model growing up?
Did I have a role model growing up? I'm going to say no.
I didn't either.
I was like, wow. I mean, no.
No, I didn't either. And so when they talk about, children having role models, I thought, I didn't have a role model. And I think it's interesting when people use sports figures as role models, because a lot of them, other than playing sports well, they don't have some of them don't have great lives. Michael Jordan was different. Michael Jordan knew he was, small children were looking at him. And he always wore a suit. He always signed his fans' autographs. He knew he was in the public eye. He took it as a responsibility. So I think that's a great, he was a great role model for children, but most sports people I don't think are a good role model for children.
Yeah. I think it was a different time, too. I didn't know. I feel like we lived in a world of ignorance, like as kids. Like ignorance is the lack of knowledge of. I just don't think that we were guided that way. Or, I didn't know. I wasn't aware of looking up to somebody that I esteemed.
Right.
I just outside of my. I think we're so self-absorbed, and we weren't, I don't know, there was not a lot of talk about mindset and growth and who are you, and it was more about what do you want to be.
Yeah. George is going to kill me. I just shut off the recording.
Uh-oh. So are we not recording?
We're not. You do that. You talk.
I don't know what to say. Oh Oopsie. We have technical. Lisa was just saying how she breaks technology. George says he's watching remote, so I think our phone's
George, if
gonna
you're
blow up.
watching remote, you're going to have to start the whole recording again for the radio because I went to move the keyboard so I could get my drink, and something happened.
He's like,
He's
told you
gonna
not
kill
to
me.
touch anything.
And he said, "Don't break it." This is kind of. It's almost humorous if it wasn't annoying. If our whole entire life wasn't about technology and it being involved in work and everything else, it would be sort of funny how I break technology all the time.
I try not to touch it.
I know.
I've gotten better about the TV, but
Well, we talked about that. Like, all right, there's one more remote than I can handle.
yes.
Yeah,
That is
we'll see if we can do that. Okay, so it's spring,
Spring has sprung.
and I always believe we should not have New Year's resolutions in January. We should have them in spring because there is a proper time and place to do things. And if you want to start off on new adventures, try new things. Oh, the birds are here.
Birds.
You need to do that when the energy is conducive to doing that, which is spring.
Alignment.
Lining yourself with
Yes.
something.
All these animals are coming out, waking up, and having babies. Flowers are growing, everything's blooming, everything's waking up, and that's when we should be getting, use the winter for recharging our batteries.
Yes, for, I don't know what winter's good for, to be honest. You find something. I can't find
Hibernation.
something.
Hibernation. Traveling. Not staying home. Actually, the winter here goes by quick if you have a winter activity.
Yes, and we want to snowmobile and we want to ski, and neither of those happens.
Yes. I'm past the point where I don't care about, what do you call that, snow walking? You put those big things on your feet.
Snowshoeing.
Oh, snowshoeing. Yes. That makes sense. I think it's overrated. It felt like I'm still walking the same way.
With higher knees. Just with
Yes.
higher knees.
Yes. I mean, if that's like a glute workout, then I'd be like, all right, maybe I'll do that I'll do that in the summer too.
Yeah, it's just about getting fresh air. Just being
Yes.
able to not be hampered by snow.
I do enjoy cross-country skiing. I haven't done it in a long time, but
We should video me trying to cross-country ski.
it's easy once you find the rhythm. Like, so you just have to stay in that rhythm and then you're fine. It's like, heel toe, kind of heel slide, heel. We were out in Yellowstone one year with my mom and they had groomed a trail. That was fun. But I had been used to doing it here and it's all pretty flat where they have groomed trails here or just outside in our yard. We had like 5 acres and made like a little loop through our yard. And that was fun. But at Yellowstone, they had a couple of hills. I'm like, uh-oh.
Going up them is really hard. Going down them is really hard.
It's scary. And you're like, stay in the lane. You kind of just like crash and burn. Like, here we go. You're committed no matter what. So it's that was a little bit freaky. It's kind of like rollerblading down a really big hill.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like that. And,
I've fallen every single time.
well, you want to, like, rollerblading downhill, your brake is in the front. And so you're going downhill and you're leaning and it's like scary to tip that toe a little bit forward to like, am I going to throw off my balance? And yeah, ugly.
Skateboarding down a really big hill. Were you a skateboarder?
No, I dated skateboarders.
Yeah.
Yes, I had my head shaved and, had a little skater punk outfits and haircut and had to wear my Vans and
I had an orange skateboard and I would just go up and down my street, which was a hill. And we used to stop like where the buses came. It was such a bad idea. When I think back on it, I'm like, I'm lucky I'm alive.
you're like, oh, that sounds like a
And what you would
terrible
have to
idea.
do
Let's
is you
it."
couldn't stop, so you would jump off and hope to catch your skateboard before it went under the bus.
Oh, gosh.
That's where my love of dangerous things comes from.
Like
is
truth or dare.
skateboarding. Right. Skateboarding on my street.
I can pedal it. I mean, I can push and get my foot on, but Jonah was really good at skateboarding. He has a longboard now. Like when they went off to college, the longboards, because they couldn't take their car. That was like an easier way. And I was like, dude, you know how to rollerblade really well. You should do that. And he's like, that is so not cool.
Oh,
I'm not going to go to college and rollerblade.
this
He's
is in
like,
L.A.
We're not in the 80s.
or L.A.
I was like, that was the crap that I think one of the best things talking about chapters, I'm going to relive. I think one of my best chapters is when my kids were like, I'm a big kid, and so I love to play, and I always had two playmates with me. We'd always go ride bikes and rollerblading, and they were just like, wow, she's so cool. We're always doing stuff. Well, that was just my interpretation.
Right. No, you were cool.
But I was like,
You are cool.
I do remember the last time that we went trick-or-treating, and I'm like, they're taller than me, but they're still 14. And I have I think we hit 2 houses, and we take a big group of kids with us when we go, because we had the perfect spot for trick-or-treating. And you never know when your last, you never know when you're going to have a last moment. I had a feeling like we had, I don't know, it was like 8 or 9 kids with us, and my kids were there. We hit like 2 or 3 doors, and they're like, hey, can we go into the village? Can you just drop us off in the village? So-and-so's having a party with a fire pit. And I just looked at Chris, and I was like, well, I guess that's
the end
it.
of that.
Took off my red leather pants and my rollerblades. And
That was the end of that.
I guess trick-or-treating is over.
Mm,
I was Wonder Woman that year on rollerblades.
that's awesome.
Yes, and I split my red pleather pants. I think they were more plastic.
So you had pants instead of the bikini bottom?
Yes. Well, we're up here.
That's true. That's true. And it's always like threatening to snow. I always felt that, and I felt this way at Laconia Bike Weekend a few years ago. I'm always wearing a winter jacket over my Halloween costume.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
No, I would be Tweety Bird, but really I'm just a Parker with some yellow
Yes.
stuff sticking out.
Well, some of them, I would have their ski bibs underneath their outfit. That wasn't going to happen. But I'm like, I said to Chris, you could take me trick-or-treating because I could pass for a 12-year-old or 14-year-old.
Right.
But it's no fun. I don't want to do it by myself.
One of my favorite trick-or-treaters came to our house, and he was deaf. So he had a sickle.
Oh, yes.
And before he took candy from me, he made sure to sickle my arm. And I was like, oh my God, I want to eat this kid up. I want him to have all the candy. Like he was he was acting.
Yeah.
And he sickled my arm.
Oh, that's cute.
That was holding out the candy. I was like, I love this kid.
We never lived in a place where we had trick-or-treaters. And this time, I don't think we were home. I mean, we have like three people on our street. So,
and I think
know if we have little
trick-or-treating
kids.
now, they try to do it on main streets and businesses. Sometimes they don't even do it on Halloween. They do it on the
I know.
Saturday before. So as
and you have a time
things
limit.
change. Yeah.
What happened to we're done when the lights go out?
Right.
Turn the light off. I mean, I remember doing that at on a school night.
Yeah, I did too.
Now it's like, nope, 6 to 8.
But I went to Catholic school from fifth grade on, and we had the November 1st always off.
Oh.
It was All Souls Day.
Oh. Well, that was not, so you guys didn't have to have,
School the next day. We got to eat our candy.
Yeah. Huh?
Have you ever made pottery?
Have I ever made pottery?
Yeah, the wheel, and you throw clay on it, and you shape it.
Oh my gosh! Years ago, a friend of ours at her house, she had one of those wheels, and we tried, and that was a mess. But I liked it. Kayla actually took a class for her art and loved it. And she made a couple of pieces. She made a paint palette for me for my paint brushes.
Oh, that's
and
nice. That's a great gift.
she made like a little long tray and like 3 dipping sauces bowls and stuff, so like crackers and dip, and I'm like, a kid knows me, I'm a dipper.
Right.
So
I'm a chip and a dipper.
Yes.
And a sipper.
yes. Yes, I like dip. I like to dip my stuff. Like I like to dip my cookies in milk. I like to dip my chips in dip. Or I like the Ruffles Ridges. They're kind of they're thinner than the other ridges. I like to dip those in mustard. I like
Yellow mustard?
Yes, French's.
Do you have a favorite smell?
Yes, I do.
Tell
Do
me.
you have a favorite smell?
I have 3 favorite smells.
All right. Well, my all-time favorite smell, I have to describe it for you. It is when you put your head against a guy's chest, like Chris's chest, and you can smell the fabric softener, and you can smell a little hint of their perfume, and that man that's probably my all-time favorite smell. Flowers, probably a hyacinth.
Okay.
Or lilacs.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be that. Favorite perfume smell would be, well, they don't make it anymore, Liz Claiborne's Sport. It was such a light, fresh, lemony smell.
I used to love their sunflowers.
Oh, yes.
That's a nice
They
perfume.
still make ones. I think they might.
Or Elizabeth Arden, maybe.
Maybe Elizabeth Arden. But I think Liz Claiborne, it was just such a clean, lemony scent.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, well, they don't make it anymore. I don't know if the statute of limitations is. I'm like, I could just create my own.
I know. Every perfume I like, they stopped making.
Yes.
So the one, I wore sunflowers forever, and everyone gave me sunflowers. So even after they stopped making it, I had probably 5 years of sunflowers. And then I went to Marine Grove by Escada, and they stopped making that. And I am on my very last bottle of that, so I'm going to have to find a new perfume. One of my favorite smells is dryer vent.
The dryer vent?
Yeah, the closed dryer vent. So if you walk by someone's house and they're doing laundry,
yes,
I love that smell. And then another smell I love is, we lived across the street in Somerville from an Italian family that had grapes growing up in vines over their driveway. So every fall, right before they got too ripe, there's a very distinctive smell. I love that smell. For flowers, my favorite flower is tuberose.
What is that?
Oh, it's heaven.
I don't even know if I've ever smelled it.
I'm going to try to buy them. I don't know if we have them. I don't know if we have them at all, or if we can order them, say, from a Whole Foods. They have a pretty good floral section. Say, I'm going to ask, can you bring them in? The smell is phenomenal, and I love jasmine.
Oh, jasmine.
Nighttime blooming jasmine.
Yes.
Is one of my favorites.
Yes, if I lived in Greece in Mamma Mia movie, I would have jasmine.
So we have
everywhere.
It's somewhere on our property, and not last year, but the year before it bloomed. Because we would catch whiffs of it, and we would run around like, where is it coming from?
Did
I want
you
to
mark
see it.
it? Did you find it?
No.
Maybe
It's in the
it
woods
blooms
a
this
little
year.
bit. It's in the woods a little bit.
You can dig some up and transplant it. I took
Closer.
We had some. What is it called? The little we call it periwinkle. It's or some people call it crepe myrtle. It has that little purple indigo like flower on it. We had some back down, growing down over the hill in the woods, and I transplanted a ton of it right by the house where the generator is, trying to get that whole bed to flow in. I cannot believe how well it did.
Oh, nice.
Because it's just ground runners, and the roots are just so thin, and so it's hard to know that if you've got enough, because they're just so tiny, tiny, wispy. And they'll come, the runner will send out some roots here and a little bit of roots here. It did really well. So if you want to transplant periwinkle, it is easy, easy, easy to do.
Well, I was thinking about how our lives are like a potter's wheel. Right? You throw a hunk of something on it, and you have to shape it into something else. And if it's not going right, you can kind of just, before it forms and becomes too hard, and then you can't change it, you have to, that process of doing it.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes.
And it needs to take shape. Sometimes you have an idea, but it hasn't formed. And spring is a great time to try new projects, because we think of spring as the shock of green against a dark ground. But spring is everything that happens before that. It emerges, but it starts before that, and it starts in the dark, and it starts unseen.
Yes. Starts from the inside out.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. So the grass and the flowers and all of those things are an outward expression of what is happening internally.
Right.
And that's just like us.
It's just like us.
I love that. Love it.
What do you have for the next year that's a new chapter for you?
This year coming,
Mm-hmm.
expansion.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get into investing. So that's my goal this year.
Real estate investing?
Yes.
I think it's going to be a great time to do that.
Yeah, and so I want to expand. I'm going to learn. In this, I want to grow our radio show.
So Facebook
I wanna
says we
grow
can't go on our
community.
Facebook because we don't have a presence, but we've been having a presence on Facebook for 9 months.
Yes.
So I'm not sure what happened, but
Yes, so if you do want to do us a huge, huge favor, you can go over to Facebook and follow
Lisa and Robyn on the mic
so we can establish our presence.
because we are present.
Yes.
We're here.
My great outfit wasn't cutting it, so they said, no, you need some more.
We don't have presence, which I think is interesting because when we didn't have presence, when we were brand new,
Right.
we were able to do it. And here we are, we have people.
I think
and
you're at the mercy of AI. I don't really
Yes.
know that there's somebody, somebody puts these parameters in and says, okay, and go.
Right.
And now computer technology is ruling us.
Right. So I have
So-
this book called Filter World. I did bring it.
Oh, yay.
And it's talking about how AI and the desire for likes and the desire for attention and to do what everyone else is doing, and instead of creating and being rewarded for creating on these platforms, we're actually being we're being validated by conforming to what everyone else is doing.
Yes.
What the most popular thing is. And I was wondering, did that happen in the art world as well? Did that happen in the fashion world? Because I do think there's an element in every type of culture, whether it's books, movies, art, fashion.
A theme.
So, yeah, someone does something that everyone's like, and then it takes off, and now everyone's doing that same exact thing.
Yeah. We actually just watched a show about Hollywood. Oh my gosh, it's such a good. I think it's only. Now I can't remember. I'm terrible about TV. I think it's either a mini series.
Mhm.
I don't think it was a movie. But it's so good. It was talking about Hollywood way back in the day, like 1948, like right around the 50s. How they didn't have, just the restrictions. We lived in a very different world. And, black women didn't get leading roles. And Queen Latifah got passed by, and she should have gotten an Emmy. And anyway, it's building it. And they finally got to a point where this guy was writing the manuscript, and he's a young black guy, and he's writing a manuscript. And it also talks about like trying to get into Hollywood, and so the struggles. I don't want to give it away to see it, but it was the film production company that decided to push the needle forward, and it's like it could shut us down or it could be a great success. And talk about how risky it is. Think about how we stay in our lane, and we stay because it's status quo. Like, why would we upset anything because nobody else is doing it in the industry, and so we're not going to do it?
Mm-hmm.
And finally,
Rick Rubin says this.
exchange of power.
So Rick Rubin is a musician. He works with all types of musicians, and every time he changed music genre, everyone would say, you can't do that because Rick Rubin is known for country. Rick Rubin is known for this. Rick Rubin is known for rap. And so he heard that he couldn't do the thing he wanted to do his whole entire life, no matter how successful he was at the thing he was doing. No one wanted him to change lanes.
I think we have, I wouldn't say pre-programmed. I think we all are resistant to change. Especially if the fear of the unknown, or you really like something, and I like when they change, like when you have your favorite pizza and they change the sauce. Yeah, that's disappointing.
Right.
But I think we fear change. We fear the unknown.
So are new chapters for people exciting times, or are they scary times? like I was thinking
It's
about a new
both.
chapter. I was thinking when you suddenly have all this time in your, for example, you got divorced, you lose a spouse, your kids go off to college or get out of the house. You've now been surrounded by one thing, and now all of a sudden it's a new chapter.
Yes, and sometimes we don't know we've been thrust into a new chapter, or we're not, or we're ill prepared.
Right.
But before we get into that, what about you? What do you have? Do you have a new chapter coming this year?
Yes. So I'm not a property manager anymore.
Yay!
And I did it for 21 years. And it was very hard to let go of that part of our business because I'm good at it. But I was no longer loving it. There was a time when I just loved it. I loved the challenge. I loved the problems. I loved learning. I loved the difference of every day. And then you do it for 21 years and it's no longer new and exciting. But there was a competence that made me think I had to continue doing it, or that I was telling myself, you do something because you always do it, but it's not something you necessarily want to do continue going forward.
Well, I think too the resistance of, can I let this go?
Can I let it go?
Can I let this go, even though it's a burden? Even it's something to lay down. We resist that change because we don't know what the future's going to hold. But then when we get on the other side of it, you're like, oh my God, why did I stress that? So,
well, it's
I
hard
feel
to
like
go
that
into the new
happens
Yes.
more often than it doesn't. Like, you go in through or. All right, so let me back up. I think that we're excited about change when we feel like we're in control of it, when we actively make the decision, when we're forced into it. Not forced, but life happens, circumstances happen that it changes and we're thrust into a new chapter. I think there's a lot more resistance and a lot more of letting go. And like you've been saying, I want to get out of property management. And then the opportunity kind of presented itself and it happened for you. I just think about how many times I think going into a new chapter, being aware that there's some things that we need to do for ourselves to physically lay down the old chapter. Like you talked about divorce. And a lot of times, divorce is ugly. I mean, 9 times out of 10, I think most people, there's always hurt. I don't know. Maybe they are. Even if it's an amicable, you're saying goodbye to somebody
that you promised to spend your life with.
Yes, but you also started out having hope and love and passion and all these beautiful things. And then life or circumstances that we allow, maybe we don't guard that as precious as we should, or life changes, or for whatever reason, we no longer have those feelings. But I don't think that on the other side of divorce, it should always be anger and ugly. And actually thought about this, whether I was going to talk about it on the radio or not. Like, we went through a divorce, and it took me a long time to heal, probably because I didn't know what I didn't know. But I don't ever wish him ill will. I love him, but the love that I have for him has changed. I love who he was when we met and why we came together, and that he is my children's father. And so I don't think that you have to, just because divorce is over, the love, it just turns into a very different thing. Like, I appreciate and I value and I cherish those times. Because then I'm like, why would I throw that whole chapter away just because it ended? Do you not watch the movie? Do you hate a movie because you don't like one part of it? And we get so stuck, when we've been told forever that divorce is bad and divorce is terrible. We weren't a good fit. I mean, we were a good fit in a lot of different ways, but we don't go into a marriage or relationships factoring in growth. We grew in different directions. And, when you start out at 22, what do you really know?
Mm-hmm.
Not to say that, there's a lot of smart people in their 20s. We just don't have the experience. And so you think that this is what it is the rest of our lives. And a lot of times we get stuck because we're told that it's bad. We're told that, don't quit your job. And remember, nowadays life has changed so much. So people don't, their pensions. Does anybody have a pension anymore?
I know. I don't know.
Like a lot of times the deciding
Everyone
factor.
had a pension.
Yes. Right. A lot of times a deciding factor of where you took your job is who was going to offer the best pension. Those things are gone by the wayside now. It's just a very different mindset and a different mentality. And we don't, I think we all resist change. But getting locked into a job that you don't like, we need to spend more time thinking about, what do we want? Who am I? Who am I in this new chapter?
And what was interesting is I've been trying to do all these new things. The radio station is one of them. Writing a book is one of them. I'm trying to flex these different muscles or strengthen these muscles. And I'm doing it holding on to a thing that's 21 years old. And when I was thinking, really, in 2016, I was really starting to evaluate, could I do real estate without doing property management? That's when it first started making its way. When you journal all the time, you see what pops up over and over again. And because I would be dealing with problems, and I think, God, I just can't. When you deal with people in their lives, you're dealing with people in their lives, and lives are messy, right? You're dealing with people with drug addictions. You're dealing with people with job loss. You're dealing with people who you're dealing with so many things. And sometimes I just felt like the problems were so much bigger than me. And so I would really think, I don't want to do this anymore. This is just too big for me. And then I would remember that because I really cared about people. I cared about the owners of the buildings. I actually cared about the tenants. I care about their lives. And so I would talk to somebody and they would say, that's none of your business. How people live is none of your business. You're there as a property manager to make sure they have safe, clean, habitable housing and that their rent is paid on time. Anything you do other than that is not your responsibility, and that's on you. That has nothing to do with the job. And so then I would get back into like, okay, I just got to focus on what's not my problem. And, but that's just to say that for basically almost 8 years, I was really wondering if this was still for me. When I loved property management, I was so excited to get up and do it every day. I was so excited. I could not tell you how much I loved it. So the change in me was like, yeah, but now I have even more experience doing it. Now I have, more to offer people. So there was that duality of, should you do something just because you're good at it? And you're currently doing it. You currently make money doing it. But I'm trying to do these new things that I find interesting and just as exciting as I used to think property management was. So excited to do them, so excited, so looking forward to it, so happy when something happens. And I wasn't feeling it over there. And so I was wondering, but that new thing has been so difficult, so mirrored in obstacles. But are the obstacles holding on to something old so that there's no space for the new thing?
Right.
And so I'm really interested now that that chapter is gone. What does this new chapter look like without that?
Yeah, we're tethered to our past. If we don't cut the strings, we'll always be. And it's the same thing, I think you can apply that with.
But I wonder how many times that happens. You want to lose weight. You want to go to the gym. You want to change something. You want to do something and make these changes. But there's something you're holding on to that prevents you from taking on the new thing.
The War of Art.
Yes.
I'm just going to say you need to read The War of Art. I love it. Like, I love the fact that once you learn something, you can't unlearn it.
Mm-hmm.
And
then you see everything else differently.
so one of the things I wrote down, and the thing I have a hard time, one of my roadblocks for me, I'll explain, is once you know better, do better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of my like stopping points. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a barrier, but it's definitely one of my, that thought pops into my head several times when I want to pick up on old behavior. It's really hard. It's really hard to break out of, it takes intention, I think, with anything.
And sometimes in old behavior, you were really successful because of that old behavior in a specific scenario.
Right.
But now that it's not working, but because it worked before, you're just doubling down on trying to make it work again.
Yes. I think life is always changing. I mean, if it doesn't, the tides change, the weather change, the seasons change, nothing stays the same.
Our bodies
ever.
change.
Yes. The minute we're born, we're dying. We just start dying.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of bracing it, how much change do we resist? I think we resist because we're afraid. We're afraid. We want to take this new leap, but we don't know what's required.
We don't have the ground underneath us. We don't have the skills, on our tool belt yet. We don't have. The uncertainty is where the fear comes up. But if we looked at uncertainty as freedom, if we said, instead of looking at this new chapter as a blank page, which becomes overwhelming,
right,
and, well, I don't know what to put on this blank page. What if it was like, you are free to do anything?
Right.
Because instead of there being writing and you can only fit in words around these other words that are already sitting here.
Right.
What if it's now you have freedom? Because I love freedom. I value freedom.
Yes. But a blank slate, a blank piece of paper is very intimidating for some people.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you get through that? So my thing,
you're free to put anything on it. You can draw on it. You can write on it. You could put stickers on it. You could type on it. You could, if you start to think of I'm free.
You just have to take an action.
Yes. That's part of it.
So that's what I was going to say is people start. So a friend of ours in Texas, he chose to use the word, and I absolutely love it. Instead of getting divorced, he says, it's our liberation day. We were holding each other back. We were holding each other down. And when you know that this person is not going to be, walk with you through the next chapter of your life, instead of seeing that, if we stop seeing it as, we as humans have said happily ever after. We created that.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think that it's intended even in, like, from, the Bible and the religious? Is he really intended it to be? I think the intention is, yes, to find your soulmate.
Mm-hmm.
So find somebody that will walk with you through each chapter. And so that's growing together.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want that to be misrepresented. But a lot of times we attach that stigma to that it's bad. Why can't it just be a liberation day?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that just, she got divorced and maybe there was amicable. No, it was ugly.
Mm-hmm.
It was ugly. There was a lot of pain and there was a lot of hurt. But I also can now look back through that lens and say, that pain and that hurt was there because we both did care about each other.
Mm-hmm.
It just, we were showing our ugly sides,
all the time.
Yes. And it just, there was friction. And where you talked about potter's clay, I was thinking about, and I had said to Chris the other day, there's a saying about the sandpaper, carving the wood, and, how it's painful, and, life is kind of like that. Life is our sandpaper. And as we age, as we go through this, will be a beautiful sculpture at the end of it. It means that we're going to have bumps and we're going to have friction, but that friction creates something beautiful. So how about, instead of saying that sandpaper, these bad experiences are actually shaping me and actually moving me, propelling me forward, and looking at it as it's actually working for me.
And sometimes you have to press into the sandpaper back instead of recoiling from it, because that's kind of what builds strength and resistance.
Yes, lean in.
Yeah.
One of the great books that we were like talking about today, The Surrender Experiment. When
Did I read that?
I don't know.
I did not. You told me about it, but I did not read it yet.
Nick read it, and he had gone down to the guy's camp. But he kind of viewed his life as what's next. It's a blank slate ahead of him. And I don't want to be so simplistic in saying that if it feels good, he goes in that direction. He explored. He had such a sense of curiosity, and situations presented themselves, an interaction with somebody. And he said, yeah, why not? I can't find a bad reason to say no. So he goes, and he allows that to be his life to be dictated that way. And I resonate with that because I feel like, looking back, there's a lot of my life that's happened like that. I didn't set hard goals. I just knew what I wanted as far as love, my freedom, my travel, and I didn't know what that looked like. I struggled a lot in high school. You know, everybody's telling you what their career is, and I'm like, well, I don't know what I want to do. Mm-hmm. I want to be free. I want to have experiences. I loved the medical field, but there wasn't one thing that I felt like I was passionate about. And I felt
that you were called to.
But I felt shame in saying that out loud. Like, then when I'm helping my kids navigate college, like they're trying to get into college and they're trying to pick their major and how stressful it is. It's like you relive it all over again. And I was talking to one of the deans of admissions up at UNH, and she said, 33% of the freshmen come in as undeclared. Like 60 some end up changing their degree.
And I wonder what the percentage is of people who graduate and never do anything with their degree.
It's huge.
It's huge.
She said there was a big number of people that graduate with their college degree and they end up in a profession that they didn't get their. Mm-hmm. But, we as a society have said, you have to have a college piece of paper if you're going to be anything in life. And
I think that's changing now.
Yes, it is.
Thankfully, because college is not providing skill set the way it was before.
No, it's providing income for people.
And yes, if you're going to be a lawyer, you're going to need a law degree. If you're there's certain,
and a brain surgeon,
right? There's certain degrees that yes, you need college because you need the education taught in that college, but not necessarily all the time. What is everyone teaching? Is there social media classes? Is there technology classes? Are there AI classes? Well, certainly if you have a computer science degree,
right?
Or I don't know what the other degrees are called, but I'm wondering what the future looks like if we stop giving advice that was good for 20 years ago to children. And I've probably said, since I graduated college, I've probably said college isn't everything. And I didn't feel like it was everything when I was in it. I was going to quit college because I had to support myself, and paying for college wasn't part of that.
Some of our biggest moneymakers in this country don't have college degrees, And
the guy who made FedEx failed when he brought his FedEx business model to a business class. They said it would never work, and he failed the class, and he quit college and started FedEx.
There you go.
Right, and everything is modeled out of that hub and spoke.
But I think we take things so
life and death. Everything is kind of life and death. All or nothing.
Yes.
Life and death.
Yes.
Yeah, all or nothing.
Instead of just saying, and I think that's a lot of times why we get into debates with people over, I'm just sharing my perspective. I'm sharing my experience, and this is why I feel this way. Instead of taking that and using how does that expand my mind? Instead of trying to change someone else's opinion, how can I actually use that to better myself, better my understanding, better my knowledge, grow me, expand me? Instead of, we're so polarizing, well, you're wrong. Why does it have to be wrong? There's a lot of ways, I forgot what I was going to say. There's a lot of ways to come to the same answer. Math tells you that.
Yeah. So what I'm hoping for going forward this year is more to do with the radio station. And I built a community in real estate. I have almost 600 people in my phone for real estate.
Nice.
Real people that I know that I've had interactions with over the last however many years, 21 years. I'm hoping, and then I always delete. I always delete about 100 because every year, because you start going through like, when was the last time I talked to them? Do they apply anymore? Is it a contractor I use anymore? Is it a vendor I use anymore? Are they even in business still?
And if they want you, then they'll find you.
And then, you know, whatever that looks like. I've had people retire from the business, you know. So I'm always going through that. But what I want going forward is what we're doing to find the community that I found in real estate and to build that. And maybe there is a little real estate component in it because I don't think I still sell real estate. I still help people buy and sell real estate and invest in real estate, but I can do it from a different lens.
Yes.
Than doing the day-to-day collection of rent and making sure your water heater is up and running and all of that.
Right.
I can still provide so much value there. So I want to expand and be engaged into building the community, but a different community.
Yeah.
One revolved around this radio station, revolved around podcasting, in real life, meeting and doing fun things out in the world. I want to do go to comedy shows, and I want to do a travel where we travel and go do something together as a group. There are a lot of different. I have a vision for what that looks like.
We want to travel and see the world, and we want to take you with us.
Yes.
That's what we want to do.
And whether you
find new friends to come along.
Yeah. And whether that means you come with us physically or you come with us through our voices or through our videos.
Virtually.
Yeah, virtually.
Or
digitally,
physically.
And physically. Maybe we come and meet you where you are. WSMN, you can be listened to anywhere. I know I actually checked geographically where we are heard. Mm-hmm. And we are heard outside of the country.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So
send us an invite.
Yeah. So
I want to go to Italy first.
Yeah. And Poland and Greece.
I also want to go to Mother Russia.
You want to go to Russia?
I do. It's beautiful. And Poland. Did we say Poland?
Yeah, we did say Poland. Yeah. Canada, Mexico.
Yeah,
Fiji,
well,
definitely Fiji.
We've already been to We've already been to Mexico. We've already been to Canada.
That'd be true. We have.
I'd see it. I like to go out to like Seattle.
I would like to go to Arizona.
Yeah, I want to go to Arizona. Play some golf out there.
Arizona, I would like to go to Lake Tahoe. I would like to go to Vail.
Oh, I want to go to Lake Tahoe too.
Whistler, that part of Canada. I've never been to the west coast of Canada. So there's, I think,
British Columbia.
So the new chapter going forward, which is a blank page, it just has a couple of little notes on it, but it is 100% of a blank page. And I'm looking forward to that. And I'm looking forward to starting April 1 because April 1 is, I know spring is technically March 21, but we had snow on April 3rd.
Right. Right.
Mother Nature's like, I'll tell you when winter's done. I tell you.
We got to have that one last little pop. I am amazed because we were having that warm stretch and I put all of our pool furniture out and it's just weird to see it sitting there with like 8 inches of snow on it. And I'm like, wow, but it's New England.
Yeah.
And it was gone literally within the next 2 days.
The day that was 63, all of the snow melted in our yard. Yes. We do have one little section.
I have 2 little spots of snow left in our yard.
So stay tuned. You're listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live reliably, sometimes on Facebook, and almost always on YouTube. We'll be back at the top of the hour.
WSMN 1590, WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at WSMN.live.
Have you tried to quit drinking before, and much to your surprise and dismay, you couldn't? Have you tried therapy, meetings, and treatment programs, but still can't seem to stay stopped? Or maybe you live in fear that you'll lose your job, your home, or your family, and much more if you don't get this figured out, and soon. Well, there is hope. My name is Bill Nielsen, and I'm the founder of Nascent 24 Recovery and Life Coaching. And I struggled for over a decade. Yup, 10 years, trying to get it right. I lost jobs, 5 six-figure jobs in fact, homes, friends, relationships. I thought I'd never get off the merry-go-round or the roller coaster, but I did. And I've developed a proven proprietary process that works. Why does it work? Because it addresses the root cause and not the symptoms. No more Band-Aids on bullet wounds. It's a 12-week journey that will transform your entire life, not just the drinking thing. I work one-on-one with every single client, and your privacy and anonymity are paramount. The great part is that you don't have to leave your home, your job, or your family. Text me the word recovery to 203-241-1266. That's 203-241-1266. Or visit my website, nascent24.com, NASCENT24.com. There is a solution. Take the first step. You won't regret it.
USA News, I'm Ryan Daniels. Many parts of the South recovering from severe storms and damaging tornadoes, including twisters reported in Louisiana and Texas Wednesday. One ripped off rooftops and took down power poles in Lake Charles, Louisiana. Another hit the town of Port Arthur in Texas. There are separate reports of possible twisters that hit Slidell, Louisiana and Katy, Texas. This as high winds, hail, and heavy rain drenched and pelted communities all across the region. Weather delaying Thursday morning start of the Masters. The Augusta National Golf Club says the first round will not begin until at least 9 a.m. Eastern. Can a U.S. president unilaterally shut down the southern border?
There's no guarantee that I have that power all by myself without legislation.
President Biden, during an interview with Univision this week, he says White House attorneys are looking into whether he might already have the authority to shut down the border. During the interview, Biden even said they've floated the idea of taking the action and then seeing how it plays out in the courts. Inflation continued moving upward in the last month. According to the latest Bureau of Labor Statistics report, it finds the annual rate of inflation went from 3.2% in February to 3.5% in March. Also, AAA reports an increase of nearly 20 cents per gallon in the average price of regular gasoline. Former President Trump says he's doing just fine in the fundraising arena. USA's John Schaefer.
Former President Trump brushed off reports suggesting his campaign is lagging behind Democrats in fundraising.
We don't need the same kind of money that they need. They need more money because they take care of more politicians. They hand it out like it's gravy.
Speaking to reporters in Atlanta Wednesday, he pointed out that despite having less money than Hillary Clinton in 2016, he still won the race.
This is USA News.
Omaha Steaks is rewriting the book on burgers with an all-new handmade texture for the juiciest home-style burgers you've ever tasted. Their pure ground burgers are made from single cuts of real aged Omaha steaks. These are truly steaks on a bun. Filet mignon, ribeye, New York strip, sirloin, and even brisket burgers. Now is the time to experience the exclusive Burger Perfection Flight for just $79.99. Go to omahasteaks.com and use promo code TREAT at checkout to get an extra $20 off your order, plus free shipping. You'll get 4 of each pure ground burger, so you can sample all the steak on a bun greatness. These burgers are crafted for a juicier, more tender experience, making your mouth water with every single bite. Don't wait. Go to omahasteaks.com. Use promo code TREAT at checkout and get $20 off the Burger Perfection Flight and discover your new burger obsession. Minimum order may be required.
I am Elena Dries, nurse practitioner at Altrix Primary Care, located right here in Nashua, New Hampshire at 57 Northeastern Boulevard. At Altrix Primary Care, we are dedicated expert nurse practitioners who provide high-quality, comprehensive primary care services for people of all ages, from newborns to older adults. Our nursing model of care is distinctive because it's unhurried, high-personalized, easily accessible healthcare for you and your family. Visit us online at altrixpc.com/Nashua or give us a call at 603-821-4009. That is 603-821-4009. 4009. Altrix Primary Care, changing the future of primary care for you and your family.
Are you or your loved ones in need of compassionate care in the comfort of your own home? Look no further than Heaven Sent Home Care. Heaven Sent knows the importance of personalized care tailored to your unique needs. Whether it is assistance with daily activities, medication management, or specialized medical care, our compassionate caregivers are ready to provide the highest quality of in-home care. The services provided by Heaven Sent Home Care extend beyond physical care. They also offer companionship, ensuring that you or your loved ones have someone to share stories, laughters, and meaningful moments with. Experience the peace of mind that comes with knowing your loved ones are in capable hands. Or visit us online at heavensenthomecarellc.com to schedule a consultation and learn more about the comprehensive range of services provided. Heaven Sent Home Care, where care and compassion come together.
Are you craving a delicious home-cooked breakfast or lunch? Look no further than Cookie's Diner, Hudson's favorite dining spot. But it's not just about the food at Cookie's Diner. Their friendly staff provides top-notch service, making you feel like part of the diner family. Cookie's Diner, conveniently located at 222 Central Street in Hudson. They're open Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. and Sunday from 7 a.m. until 1 p.m. Call-ahead orders are always welcome via DoorDash or by calling 603-880-3424. Cookie's Diner, where great food and fantastic service come together.
Looking for the best deal in Nashua? Visit the River Casino and Sports Bar. Watch the game, have a bite to eat, or take a chance on our table games. Roulette, New Hampshire 21, and New Hampshire Hold'em. Be sure to visit from 4 to 7 each day for our expanded prime time. $2 slice of pizza, $3 domestic bottles, $4 well drinks, and a selection of appetizers for $5. Visit us online, therivercasino.com.
The views and opinions of the following show do not reflect those of WSMN, its owners, and/or associates.
Lisa and Robyn are two fun friends diving deep into conversations where nothing is taboo. They believe in eating dessert before dinner and wearing the bikini. They're allergic to labels, authority, and cheap shoes. Currently, they're launching themselves through life being the good time, bold enough to take risks and inquisitively asking, what's next? They hail from New Hampshire, but they could be anywhere dressed in cute clothes. If they had to share a tombstone, it would read, "Curiosity killed these cats." Your hosts, Lisa and Robyn, on the mic.
Welcome. Welcome back to Lisa and Robyn on the mic. You are listening on WSMN, 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live. Sometimes we're on Facebook, and we are mostly on YouTube.
Soon we'll be on Spotify. Well, I had to check the color of my lipstick since you said that.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, we're going to do a selfie.
It's a great lipstick color for you.
Thank you. I like it. It's yours. It's the one you said.
Yeah, it looks really good.
What's it called? Raspberry? I would say raspberry rain, but I don't know. It's not that.
It's not that. Although I think that would be a great name of a nail polish color or a lipstick. I always used to love the OPI colors that
It's Berry Recognize.
Okay.
That's what that is. Liquid cat suit. Mega last. Do you know, I heard that was a hereditary trait to be able to roll your tongue.
Really? I can do that. But I feel silly when I did it in Spanish class.
Why?
Rojo.
Rojo.
I don't know why. I just felt really silly. I should have taken French because I really wanted to learn French, and I specifically did not want to learn Spanish.
Yeah.
But my parents said, "You're not going to take French. No one's speaking French. You should take." And then that just goes to show you that if you don't like what you're doing, you're going to do it terribly. I spoke Spanish terribly while I did it, and I don't remember anything now.
Yes. Well, I took 4 years of Latin, and I could remember
but
some
Latin,
stuff. But
you can build. Latin allows you to take a word that you don't know and kind of break it down into a word you may know.
Yes.
And all the other languages were built on Latin. So
Yes.
even though you can't speak Latin now, I still see the point of it.
Yes.
But I don't see the point of learning a language that you don't want to learn. I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
Well, maybe it's age, but I'm actually thinking like, the older I get, I don't really want to do I'm not going to do anything that I don't really want to do.
I know more and more. I don't want to do anything I don't want to do.
Why would we put ourselves in that spot?
Because at the time, there's also, we've got laundry we don't want to do that has to be done.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff we have to do that we don't want to do. So
it's true.
I think there's a little bit of that.
It's limiting. So what I wanted to say real quick when I said, one of my stopping points is when you know better, do better. Because if I choose to make the bad habit or make the bad decision to do whatever the thing I was going to do next, and I had that little, hey, brain fart to say you're not doing something right. If now it's a choice.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it's a stopping point for me because, all right, if I take a step, I know that I'm going to repeat an old behavior. I'm going to be.
Well, even acknowledging you have a choice and that you're not on some runaway train of emotions.
Right.
You have a choice.
Right.
But it's hard to remember that in the heat of things. I had a really bad phone call. We had talked about that phone call earlier this week, and my brain literally just went offline.
Yeah.
Where in my brain I heard,
But also, during our conversation, you listed all reasons why. Like, here's a bad, ugly situation, and we want to fight it. But look how quickly you were able to get to the other side and say, yeah, but this gives me peace.
Yes.
So this really sucks. There's a part of this, like, I want to fight this, and this shouldn't happen.
Yes.
But look at the grace that you embraced. Like, okay.
Well, now I can also entertain how much energy is lost in fighting the good fight that I'm going to lose anyways.
Yes.
I'm going to lose that fight, and I can continue to fight, but it bleeds so much energy from doing anything that could be actually useful. So that's where the providing myself grace of, yeah, it sucks. It really, really sucks. And it's unfair and it doesn't make any sense and all of those other things. But I can get to the other side of this really quick and move on to something and leave this in the past instead of dragging it along with me. And that kind of, I talked about that a little bit with, I say I want all these things, but do I want all these things when I'm dragging the things that used to be around with me? It's like carrying the blanket.
Right.
Did you ever have a blanket when you were young?
It's like losing 100 pounds, but you're still dressing like you still carrying that extra 100 pounds. You're still draping yourself in that same. And people view us from our old lens. There's a meme out there, somebody talking about me from the past, like, I don't live there anymore. I don't live there anymore. That's not me anymore.
Yeah.
And we get stuck in, I think we grow whether we want to grow or not because we're constantly receiving information. And
I think if we're not growing, we're hardening.
I think you're dying, actually.
Yeah. I think you're petrifying. You know how old wood gets petrified?
Yeah.
If you're not growing, if you're not the rings of the trees growing,
that's true.
You're petrifying.
Stale.
And the harder you are in your soul, in your heart, in your mind, the more difficult life is going to be because it is always changing. And it's very hard. For me, there's a resentment in that hardness. And being resentful, you can't be wondrous and curious and joyful and resentful at the same time. They cannot occupy the same space.
Yes. Yeah. It steals your joy. It doesn't have any place for, and a lot of times we keep saying we want something different, but yet we fall to our old behavior so quickly instead of like, hey, okay. So I have a really quick wit.
Yeah.
Let's say that. Well, so sometimes in an argument, I feel like I could drop some
zingers.
Yes.
I could see that about you. You get all street in a minute.
Yes. Yes. Southern Street girl.
Yeah.
So it has come out of my mouth sometimes, but then I take it back. I come back and say, I'm so sorry. I did not mean it that way. Or, whew, that escaped my mouth. Can I do over? So it's not like I did fall, but I got right back up and said, no, I'm going to push through. I'm going to push through this behavior. And a lot of times we get so lost in our emotions, in our need to be right or validated, or again, it comes back to we want to be seen and we want to be heard. And that's how we feel loved. But yet we have the unawareness that we're actually repelling people away from us instead of drawing them to us. Because I like the saying that your energy introduces you way before you ever get into the room. I love that because people are so unaware of how they show up. Like, it's you know how it is when you go into, or you have a stressful situation, and have you ever met somebody and you just dread going to meet them? Uh-oh.
George put it on and I leaned over to touch my notebook and it came off again. He's going to kill me.
He is going to kill you.
I don't even I'm so sorry. Go ahead, keep going. I'm so sorry.
I forgot where it was. Oh, but yes, have you been around somebody that you just like, oh my God, I love their energy, and they just make you feel good. When you walk away, you feel lighter and happier and you maybe more alive. Like, what if we all put a little bit of effort into being that way, showing up that way? Just a little bit.
Well, there's an element, there's this idea that I can be anybody I want to be. One of my favorite movies is Mission Impossible. I love all the stunts in that movie, and I love that he's always sort of wrestling between fate and agency. I just love those movies. Great stunts. But there's Rogue Nation when he meets Ilsa, who is saving him. She's his British counterpart. And she says, we can go anywhere. We could be anything. Because they're spies. So they are anything, right? And I love that line. We could be anything. If you thought you can be anything, what would you be? And then be that. But it's going to take a restructuring of everything in the moment.
It's going to be shaky. It's going to require you to shake your life up. But are you? And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck.
Well, I want to be brave.
Yeah.
You have to do brave things. What's brave? Anything that you're afraid of.
Yes.
And you doing it anyways.
Yes.
If it's speaking on a public stage, think of all the things that would be frightening. Going on a roller coaster.
Right. I think just even asking the question, like, what are the things that are holding me back?
I don't think that's our blind spots. I think it's very difficult because I'm thinking of
people
someone.
are like, well, I wish I could, I could change jobs. I hate my job. So people are like, well, I've worked here for 20 years. I've got a great retirement savings from here, and I've got my, it comes down to money. And we spend so much time thinking like, oh, if I'm going to build this business and I'm going to do this, and then I'll be happy. If I make so much money, then I'll be happy. No, you could die tomorrow. And you're the only one that's robbing yourself of your own joy. It's a choice. It's a hard choice sometimes, but like we still make a choice. We're either going to make a choice to something that's going to harm us or something that's going to help us. And so, like going back to the pensions and stuff, and it's in giving, having great health insurance is a reason for you to stay. People want you to be in longevity. In our mindset was, and I know when I graduated from high school, and I don't feel like it was that long ago, but when I graduated from high school in the 90s, it was still the mindset of get a good job, and you were going to be there for life.
That was our advice.
It was your advice. And now look how much the world has opened up.
And changed.
And like, it comes down to really, are you willing to take a chance on yourself? Are you willing to bet on you? And on this radio show, is me willing to take a chance on me?
So sometimes I think that something is so clear, but I'm not seeing it. So when you say, ask yourself what's holding you back, I think people can't see their limit. Some people can't see the limitations.
Why do you think that is?
Like right now, I'm trying to think of what are my limitations? And I can't see mine.
Well, I can't see yours either. Because it's so easy to
Says my best friend.
Because you're always
That's because you love me. You're not.
No, because you're always up. You're always out to try new things. I mean, anytime I've ever asked you anything, you're like, I've never heard you say no. I've never heard you say no. So, I mean, the property management was a limiting belief. You believed that you couldn't let that go. So it's one of those things that are...
well, if I didn't make money doing that, how was I going to make money?
Right.
And
but
it's like,
that's
well, you
your
make
resistance.
money selling.
That's the niggling thing at you, like, but this is my comfort zone. This is my,
Well, I do it and I do it well, so you do it all the time.
Right. And so why change? I'm in my comfort zone. I've worked for this. And, we talk ourselves out of a lot of different reasons. So what? So what have you spent the last 50 years doing that? Does it make you happy?
Well, one of the things that when I would go, say, do I go to a Chris's Iconic event or do something, and they'd say, well, what would you do instead? And the answer is, well, I would do real estate. And you're like, well, you are doing real estate. And you're like, I know. This is so confusing because so that's part of what I mean about I can't see. Sometimes you can't see or you don't smell your own stink. That kind of thought too. And when I'm thinking of someone specifically and they say they want to do something, but they never do anything towards that thing.
Yes. Then you don't really want it.
Right. But they're telling themselves they want it, and if it could only just be that, they would be so much better.
Right. Your fear is bigger than your desire.
Right. So if you really want to do that thing, say the thing is not drinking. I really want to stop drinking.
Right.
Do you really want to stop drinking? And then say the person's spouse says, I really want you to stop drinking. I look at both of them and say, do you really want to stop drinking, or do you want to just stop drinking so you feel
right
crappy the next day?
You were getting ready to say shame.
Just kidding. Well, because they are ashamed. They are ashamed the next day about their drinking.
Yes.
But their entire life is built around drinking. But
yes.
and the spouse says, oh, you drink too much, so you should stop drinking. Yes. And then I see that person and say, okay, do you really want this person to stop drinking? Because your life is going to have to change just as much as this person's life is going to have to change. Are you going to want this person to literally never have a drink? Because you don't even like when I'm not drinking and I have nothing to do with you.
You want that person for your own selfish reasons, not for the betterment of them. Because if you truly, I feel like if you were committed to that person, like, hey, let's do this together. Or you come from a place of...
We were talking about 75 hard.
Well, you come from a place of inspiring somebody and encouraging somebody. I feel like you get so much more instead of what we do is we cast our judgment and we blame and shame someone. And who the hell wants to grow in that environment?
Mm-hmm.
Who wants to grow? Who's going to take that on and be like, oh my gosh, yes, he's only doing that because, or she's only doing that because she loves me? No. I think there's a lot of different ways that we can handle people and situations when come from your words. Your words are powerful.
Right. So if you're going to stop drinking, you're going to have to stop going to 4 happy hours a day.
Right. Right.
Come to our happy hour. We have a happy 2 hours.
Stop going to the liquor store every 3 days.
But but you really don't want to stop drinking entirely. You just want to have control over your drinking.
Yes.
So instead of saying a thing that you really don't want, that you constantly fail at, which makes you feel bad about yourself, which causes you to be shameful, which causes you to drink more.
Yes.
Go to, I just want to have social drinks on the weekend.
Well, the truth of the matter is we're going to be judged no matter what we do. Yeah. If we follow the rules and say somebody blueprint, mapped your life out and said, this is how life is lived. When you get out of high school, you need to go to college. Then you need to find, a woman or a man that is going to, contribute, blah, 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 have kids, raise a family.
Worship the ground I walk on.
Yes, and you need to have a 2-car garage, and if you live in the north, you need to have a generator, and you got to love Dunkin' Donuts. So here's your criteria
And wear
for
North
being an
Face.
adult. Go. It doesn't work that way. So you're still going to be judged. You're going to be judged for doing it that way by somebody else's rules and how they told you to do it, or going out and living your life and creating the life that you want. You're going to be judged no matter what you're going to do. You're going to make a hard decision no matter what you do. You know, if you decide that you're going to stay fat and be overweight, that's a hard decision. But getting control of your health is a hard decision too. They're both. I'm not saying, like, I didn't mean that to be rude, but it's like, if every decision, you're either going to be miserable in your job, or you're going to be miserable struggling to create something new.
Choose your heart. Choose what you want. Because we were talking about that.
Choose one that serves you.
We were talking about 75 hard, and I was like, and there's no drinking for 75 days.
Yeah.
And it was like, well, I don't need to do all of those things. I could do a couple of those things.
Right.
And it's like, well, that's the whole
Right.
point is you have to do the hard thing you don't want to do.
Right. And the minute you say, then a lot of times it is something that you really need to focus on.
Right. What do you think about, I have 2 theories on this. What do you think about strengthen your weakness? Whatever you're weak at is the thing you need to do. So if you can't do cardio, you need to do cardio.
Yes.
If you can't lift weights, you should lift weights.
Right.
But I also believe that you should be working with your gifts and not with your weaknesses.
Yes.
So I don't need to be, my job doesn't need to be lifting roof tiles on a roof.
Right.
Because that is I'm never going to be the one to do that the best because my back is not the strongest back.
Right.
It will be if you continue to do it for the next 30 years.
Right.
At some point.
Right.
But for example,
do you really want to be 80 and be on the roof?
Right. I do not. Chris was saying something and, he was like, oh, whatever. You got to be careful because Lisa is a visionary. But you're a visionary too.
Yes.
So we need an integrator.
Yes.
Because every time you and I are forced to do the integration, it doesn't happen.
Yes, we have a stopping point, and that's just because we want to be in both of this, this opportunity to be on the show, and, we're doing a podcast, and we're doing another food podcast. So we've got a lot of things going right now and trying to launch those, and it's the fine details that are our sticking points.
It's the technology that's our sticking point.
Yes.
The integration into technology.
Yes.
And every time we get to that point, we're like, all right, we're almost not doing it. Like, I just shut off the recording device again by accidentally writing that I wanted to make myself a note. When you were talking about, you don't have to love Dunkin' Donuts, you have to love this. One of my friends just recently moved, and she said, she called me on the phone, when did everyone give up? And I'm like, what? She's like, everyone's walking around just in black sweatpants, black yoga pants.
Yes.
When did everyone give up? And that brings me on my fashion.
That is true. During COVID, there was a lot of black leggings going around.
And I know everyone wants their comfort. Everyone says it because of their comfort. But why aren't you comfortable in nice clothing?
What do you mean?
When someone says, well, I want to be comfortable. I just want to be comfortable. That's why I'm wearing the black leggings. Why aren't you comfortable in nice clothing?
Like, I'm comfortable. Like, I'm super comfortable right now, except for my bra. But I think probably 99% of women can say that.
Right.
It's always present.
Right.
If you didn't get shamed, we'd just, go braless. Hey, I wrote something down the other day. Talking about spring and renewal and change and new chapters, just something that I want you to be aware of. And I said that, your energy introduces you before you walk into the room. A thread I was thinking about last night. People can actually tell when you don't love yourself.
How do you tell when someone doesn't love themselves?
It's the way they show up in life. They are hard on themselves, addictions, ones, and not knowing that you have a problem and choosing not to do anything about it. So I don't want to say that you're I don't want to say like, oh, that person is an alcoholic. Maybe it's not that. Maybe you are struggling with alcohol. Maybe you are struggling. You are setting, how you respond in an argument, I think, shows a lot about how you feel, or how you handle conflict shows about how you feel about yourself, because everything is a reflection. I think life is happening for us. And I think that, you know, if you and I are in a conversation and I said something to trigger you, did I do it intentionally to trigger you? But like, so no, it's not my heart. But if you have a reaction to it, it's something that you're dealing with. It's something that's showing up in your life, in lashing out because somebody shined a light or called it out. I think how you respond to people says a lot about who you are, who you truly are. Do you really want to work it out? Or do you just want to burn the ship down and, you know, move on? And I'm going to go lick my wounds. You know, I'm going to go lick my wounds and I'm going to go feel bad about this. What is it that then you really don't want the connection? You know, if it's an argument, then you really don't want the connection.
Some people are really addicted to their anger. Well, it's their motivator. It's the one that gets them up in the morning. It's the one that makes them go to work. It's the one that gets them through their day, and they don't even know that they're addicted to it.
Well, we talked about this, like the actual physical changes that go on in your brain. Your hippocampus, you know, will actually shrink. But like addiction, a lot of the addiction comes from, it's that dopamine rush. Mm-hmm. It's the dopamine rush. And then eventually, you know, say it's the drink that gets you the dopamine rush. Eventually, you're going to have to get more and more because our brains, we actually get desensitized to the dopamine, and it's now we're going to need to up it again. But it's the same thing. Jordan Peterson talks about it in his book about being addicted to the drama. Mm-hmm. And it releases chemicals in our body. And so once the drama fades down and our chemicals return back to a normal balance, we don't know what to do with it. So we start picking a fight with people, or we start getting irritable, and we do this because guess what we're doing? And this all happens on a subconscious level. But I think anybody that's listening, if you walk yourself through, like, have you ever just been driving down the road and you think about something that gets you angry, and then the next thing you know, you're white knuckling it, and you're like, you want to curse at them, and the next thing you know, you've talked yourself right into a bad mood. Mm-hmm. We can do that for the opposite. And I've done it so many times. Like, I was just talking to my mom yesterday about the power of breath work. Like, I never believed in that stuff. But actually having to do it and physically and conscientiously changing my chemistry in my body by just slowing down and breathing. So I think it's the whole process. I am intentionally trying to create a new energy inside of me.
Right.
And so I think how we show up at, you know, I think how we show up for our jobs. I think how we show up for our people. I think we show up how our employees or our employers and our spouses and everybody, our friends.
One thing that I remember when I was moved to Hawaii. And then when I got to Hawaii, everybody's like, why'd you move here? And I'm like, have you been outside?
Right.
I was like, this is the stupidest question.
Duh.
I've ever had that I don't have a better answer to. Have you? And maybe what I should have started saying is, have you ever been to New England? Because we have horrible weather there, right. And you don't have horrible weather here. So this is why I like here and why I don't like there.
It's kind of like a little bit of England and Seattle.
It's beautiful.
Sub-north.
It's a beautiful place to live when the weather cooperates, which is less than 50% of the time.
I would say we have a harsh, I mean, there's places in the world that have much harsher
weather than we do.
But we do have harsh climates sometimes. Right. You know, it's just... Ugh.
Right. But when I went there and everyone was asking me that question, and I was thinking, at some point I started doing that. I'm running from the law. This isn't even my real name. Because I'm like, this is the most, why did you move here? Because the weather's perfect. I came here on vacation and the weather's perfect, and I've always wanted to live in warm climate.
Yes.
We actually entertained moving to Georgia with John for one of his jobs. I entertained moving to Florida for college. I always wanted to go where the sunshine was. Mm-hmm. It's the simplest, most boring
I am
reason.
a vitamin D baby.
I am right. I'm a human sundial.
Yes.
I'm a human sundial. Wherever I'm like, where's the sun?
I'm actually one of the rays of the sunshine.
I am. I'm just trying to meet my maker.
Right. Right.
But
trying to get closer.
When people talked about like, oh my God, getting up and moving, it was the easiest thing to do in the world because it was something I wanted to do so badly.
Yes. Yes.
And when I think of and then coming back was one of the hardest things to do for me because I know I was coming back and the weather was going to be a problem.
Yes. I would have a hard time.
Right, because John was like, but this is here. Our family's here. This is here. The weather, this is gorgeous. We've got the mountains. We've got lakes. We've got the ocean. We've got cities. We have so much. Why don't you want to come back? And it was ultimately because of the weather.
Yes.
As I'm sitting in a gray,
See,
raining
I think one of the beautiful
studio.
gifts that John gave to you, and he just said to you when you're like, when he told you to come and look at it again through tourist eyes.
Yes.
And like one of the things, I like about New England, let me just define when I say harsh. It is harsh climate when you only have a short summer.
Mm-hmm. And it's a harsh climate when there's just not a lot of sunshine. And
Yes.
last year, I don't know, is it an El Nino year or whatever it is?
That's what I heard.
But we just have had a lot of rain, so that it's literally an itch.
Yes.
That does this in my brain. We got to get out of here. We got to get out of here. Really, like, we got to get out of here. We got to get on a plane. We got to get out of here.
Mm-hmm.
Because the weather is just where my problem is. And it's not even the cold. I always thought when I was younger it was the cold. It's the lack of sunshine.
Yes.
That is really what triggers me to want to be somewhere else.
Yes.
So we went away last week for my birthday. We went to Aruba. It was sunny and gorgeous. I got all my vitamin D. And I didn't feel... Monday was decent. Tuesday was pretty decent. But I woke up this morning and I'm like, oh no, I was just in sunshine.
I know. Take me back.
What is wrong with me that I can't handle 2 days in a row of clouds?
And it's the cold, wet. Yeah. It's the cold, wet, damp. And actually this morning, it's just different perspective. The other day we were golfing and it was sunny and I had on shorts and a tank top. And I'm like, oh, I'm just loving this. I get home and I'm like, oh, I think I have some tan lines. I'm so excited and because we haven't seen the sunshine, or I would say felt the sunshine. We've seen it.
Right. But we haven't really felt it. When I went to Aruba, it was little Boston. Almost everybody I spoke to was from some suburb of Boston, Rhode Island, Connecticut, or New Hampshire.
Yes.
So I wore my 603 baseball hat, and a lot of people would say, what's 603? And I was like, my area code,
Yes.
And everybody else would be like, New Hampshire.
Yes.
And then I met people from Portsmouth, and I met people from Wrantham and Braintree and all these different places because you start talking to people. But we were all laughing because we were all so happy to be there.
Yes.
And we all talked about the weather.
It's like it's the private club.
It's the private Boston,
Yes.
like small little Boston
The
club.
last time we were in Aruba, we were sitting. So we had stayed 20 minutes south of. Is it Aronstead?
Yes.
I don't know how they say it correctly, but so we're 20 minutes south of Aronstead, and we had gone to breakfast at this little. What are the pancakes there called?
Oh, poot.
They're
the Dutch pancakes.
Yes, like the Dutch baby or the Dutch pancakes. So there was a place that said it was really good, and a local had said, "Go here, go here." We're sitting down to breakfast, and this lady walks up, and she's like, "Are you Chris?" And she's like, I saw her. I'm like, I noticed her, that blonde hair from. So she's like, I just had to come over and say she's from Massachusetts, and we had actually seen her. I think it was in Texas.
At an event?
Yes, down at one at Tom's events. I think it was one of Tom's events. We had just seen her and she's like, I had to come over and say hi. And, they were traveling with a group. And then we were at this dive bar in the middle of nowhere one night. And the guy said, yeah, he was from Massachusetts. He sold his house, bought a property down there. And he's like, I'm very familiar with New England because they were doing karaoke night. And they're like, where's everybody from? And we said, New Hampshire. And I just thought that was cool.
But when I brought out the point about moving, when I moved away, it was you just decide.
Yes.
Everyone's like, why did you come here? And I would say, did you see the weather outstairs? But a lot of them is like, how did you pick up and leave your life? Well, you decide. You decide about the next thing. You decide what you want. And we talked about the potter's wheel at the beginning. It doesn't have a shape yet.
Right.
And that's the most exhilarating part. Because it could still be anything. Mm-hmm. One of the things I love is this idea of day one. Day one, all things are possible. Day one is beginning. It's blank slate. It's hope and optimism. All good things are at the beginning of embarking because you've got hope, an idea, a vision,
curiosity,
excitement, all of that, but you're not into the hard work yet.
Right.
You're not in the meat and potatoes of it yet.
Right.
So day one is just such an exciting time. So if you consider today day one, now you don't, I sometimes find it hard to live the idea of, that beginner's mind or living in day one is, well, I'm also not getting momentum and traction and progress too, because I'm always at the beginning. You don't want to always be at the beginning, but beginnings can be very, very exciting.
Yeah. Beginnings are, and if they weren't exciting, how many, we probably wouldn't do it as much.
Right.
But it's the same thing that I've been saying it for a long time. Do you know how powerful it is when you actually own the idea that you are in charge of your life? You're in charge about how happy or how good your day is going to be or how bad it's going to be. How much are we going to attach to these things, or how much are we going to let all of these things weigh us down?
And if you're in charge, you are the curator of your life.
Yeah.
You get to decide what you put in it that you like, what you put in it that you want to look at, what you put in it that you want to wear, what do you want to read, what do you want to watch, what do you want to see, what do you want to hear.
Right. What do you want your relationship to be like? We spend a lot of time blaming the other person for not showing up how we want them to be, instead of focusing on like, hey, am I being the best partner? And it's funny, I joked with my patients before about, man, I'd get some cranky, grouchy old fart in there, and I'm like, man, did you really think that when you were sitting in 4th grade and like itching to get outside for recess that you were going to grow up to be such a jerk? Like, did you really think that? Like, no, but when did we stop? When did we stop believing in miracles? And when did we start losing our curiosity and started picking up as a child? When did we start losing that sense of wonder and its sense of adventure, and that the world there's so much possibilities? And when did we start grabbing all these limiting beliefs to say, no, we can't do that. I've got a family, you can't do that. And I listened to a friend of mine say, when we had kids and they were babies, right? Well, before I was even pregnant, we both strongly agreed that children weren't going to change our lives the way, they're going to change your lives, but what we mean by, it's not going to limit us from traveling. It's not stopping us from traveling and doing the things that we want to do in the world. Our kids learned how to ski when they were 3. They had golf clubs in their hands since they were 3 or 4. And they've traveled. They were on an airplane flying cross country with me when they were 2. We took them with us, incorporated them into not going to allow, I wanted to make sure that my kids could go down easy at nighttime, because I didn't want to be stuck at home or like a limiting belief. We were all getting together for game nights and have an adult time, and I wanted to be able to just put my kids down anywhere and they would sleep. So we just had a few comfort things. They had their lovey, and we had music. So their pack and plays, and as long as I had their radio, because I wanted something else to be putting them. I wanted them to learn how to pacify and comfort themselves, because I wanted them to be a part of our life and not have to change our whole life and give up things. Like, no, I want to enrich their lives. I want them to know what that's like, so that they will go out and take that skill, that tool, those gifts that they've been able to experience and expand on that.
And you're modeling what life is supposed to look like.
Right. I don't think that we're supposed to be stuck in, we do. Financial responsibilities is a big stressor in our life. But I think if we just started asking ourselves, I'm going to do things that serve me and benefit me, and am I happy? And what would make me happy? What would bring me joy? What would I like to do?
And I think sometimes people are so far from joy that they don't even know how to get back into it. Like haven't felt good in such a long time.
I think you also, I think you have to put yourself in around it, changing the vibration. You know, it's funny, we've been stuck in a genre when we do watch TV. It's kind of been like crime and suspense, and it's been, we did the Gold Rush, you know, it's been war and all these things. And so when I turned on Mamma Mia, and then I ended up watching the second one because just that music. And then, so we kind of got into a couple of these rom-coms, and after it was over, I'm like, wow, I'm actually craving more. It felt so good. And I feel like I try to be a happy person. I feel like I do show up as a happy person most of the time, like just for myself. Like, I don't know how the rest of the world sees me, but I feel I show up ready to be happy with the cashier, or, you know, the guy in Walmart that hands me his reading glasses as he's walking by. You know, I feel like I show up in wanting to share my sunshine. If that's what you want to call it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people want to share their storm cloud. I forgot what I was saying with all that.
It was a good rant, though. Oh, we were talking about TV.
Oh, yeah, and so yes, so I wouldn't say that I show up as a negative person. I try to work very hard on that. But seeing that was like, wow, I actually needed that. That actually filled me up. It fueled me and it brought a different happiness and light side in me. So it's like something as simple as that. Change some of the music that you listen to, or sometimes just be silly.
Yeah. Curate what you're listening to. Hopefully listening to the show brings the equivalent of a happy hour to 2 hours of your Tuesday, or if you watch it during or you listen to it or watch it during a different time. Start listening to comedians. You have unlimited free comedians on YouTube. I found a great new comedian called Des Bishop.
Oh, is that the one you screenshotted me?
Yes. He's hilarious. I watched a half an hour show of his. We are trying to get Douglas Key. When he comes to New Hampshire, he's going to Concord. He's doing a show in Concord. And I'm like looking at
my phone. We had a rapid fire digression. We are going to announce that George is telling us that we have an on-air announcement that O.J. Simpson has died at 78.
Okay. Lived a lot longer than those other people. Sorry.
I was going to say. And back to what you were saying. And back to our regularly scheduled program. That's all you get, OJ.
Right. That's all you're going to get from us.
I did it.
Right. There you go.
It's more than he said.
Right. Just, I was going to use this Christian... how do you say Christian?
Where are you?
Dwar?
Where?
Why can't I say this name? She's a fashion person.
Oh,
Dior. Oh, what a advanced maternal age brain fart that was. She said, individuality will always be one of the conditions for real elegance. And I was listening to Elle Macpherson turned 60 in March. And she was recently asked, as a chic woman, what are some of your secrets to staying so stylish as the years creep on? And she was saying, not surprisingly, that being stylish is about being true to who we are. And if you're confident in yourself, it doesn't matter what you wear, because you will feel good in your skin, and then you will feel good in your clothes. It's about...
I feel like that takes away a little bit of the argument, because I was going to come back to the leggings. And when people say, I want to be comfortable... so we've seen that as kind of like a cop-out, right? Not a cop-out, just like not the effort. But I feel like when you make an effort to dress up or put together an outfit. I wouldn't say dress up, because people think dress up is like, I got to get fancy clothes. So no, to put an outfit together so that you feel confident and stuff. So I feel like that is armoring yourself. And I think that is self-love. I mean, maybe some people just don't like clothes, and I don't understand that aspect of it. I don't.
Well, I feel like you see the world and the world sees you.
Yes. And so I think, well, every time you walk out the door, people are judging you, right or wrong, people are judging you how you show up in the world. A lot of times we don't care, but I also feel like it helps me be in my vibration that I want to be in.
Right. And I know that every time I run out not looking my best, I'm always going to see somebody and I'm like, man,
yeah,
I didn't want to be seen like this old skag.
Well, I see.
Running to the dry
so
cleaners.
Part of me, so I didn't mean to interrupt, but there's a part of me feel like the reasons I do it is because I am trying, for me, to put my best foot forward. And it also makes me feel good. I didn't, in my 20s, and it wasn't until after my kids were born did I ever start thinking about, I always liked clothes and stuff. But then, I was a kid growing up, and it's, you're limited by the school shopping or what you needed and what your parents were going to pick out for you. And then, you go through your 20s where we're all poor and,
Right.
we're shopping at the Goodwill and thrift shopping. And so now when you actually can have some intentionality behind it, I love it. Clothes give me, and so sometimes even I go into my closet if I'm in a funk and, if he's out of town or for whatever reason, I will go in my closet and I will go pick out some outfits or I'll like, oh my gosh, I haven't tried that on a long time. Or, oh my gosh, I forgot that. And then I play dress up.
Mm-hmm. I love playing dress up, actually.
But it makes me feel good. Then I'm like, all right, I'm done. But then I've actually changed my energy on the inside, and I feel better.
I think I stand taller when I feel good in clothing. I think I walk different. I just think that, because I know in the bathing suit, just being in a bathing suit all week, I wasn't feeling that great the first day in a bathing suit.
Why? Because the white skin? Or
it was the white skin.
Fake tan.
And I bought a bathing suit online because I went to the store and I didn't see any bathing suits. And I felt like I just had 3 elastic bands on the bottom half of my body. And I took it off, and instead of lying flat, it's like the elastic was sewn.
Twisted.
No, it was sewn like they stretched it to put the sewing, and then when they let it go back, its normal place was too tight. So I'm going to have to throw that bathing suit away, actually. And when I stopped wearing that bathing suit, I felt a lot better. Like, I felt like it didn't fit. And I'm like, whose bathing suit is this? I just bought it.
Yeah.
But I was in it for 2 seconds at my house, not trying to be in it for 8 hours.
Yes.
And then I bought 2 other bathing suits that I felt, and then I did feel better because it goes, for me, it takes a little bit of time to go from clothed, where I might be hiding some things, to naked.
Like, here I am, all my glory.
Here I am.
Yep.
And then I posted that picture on our Instagram page saying this is my last day at 51. And we talked about this a little bit on the After Dark, that I think nobody cares. Nobody wants to see this. But it was I did post it because it was my remembrance of I'm going to be 52. I'm not going to be upset about getting older. I've made the choice.
I'm the youngest I look.
I'm never going to,
Yeah.
10 years from now, this is going to be the best I look.
Yeah.
I'm going to go into every day, even though I don't feel that way at every moment. I'm trying to change because what's the alternative? I die?
Right.
I don't want that.
Right.
So I want to live a long life.
Well,
until I don't, but...
Well, I think a lot of it all comes back down to self-love. You find things that make you feel good. Clothes happens to be it for us, but maybe it's
it's jewelry. It's
yes,
yeah,
or it's even curling up and reading a good book, or it's taking a Saturday afternoon nap, or it's like allowing yourself to do something that actually fuels you.
Yeah, and if
we don't spend enough time putting fuel into us,
right?
Love.
And I wasn't allowed to scroll on vacation because my phone stopped working. But that made a huge difference. I forgot I had so much more space, and I have to get into being really conscientious and about how much time and what I am seeing when I am seeing online, because I don't know about anybody else's feed, but my feed is nothing but ads.
Yeah, I have a lot of ads. I keep clicking it. But there's a way that you can go into it.
I keep doing that, but now I feel like I'm touching them so much more. I just want to ignore them because I was thinking I was curating by touching, and it would say you won't see this ad for 7 days. You won't see this ad for 7 days. You won't see this ad for 7 days. But it didn't say I was never going to see it again. Instagram,
and then it's just going to put it up again. Hey, I have a question. I mean, I have a little activity.
Yes.
And everybody can do it. So I was listening to this book, and he's talking about, how, and we've been kind of talking about social conditioning. He says, say silk 10 times really fast, in your head. Now, what do cows drink?
Milk.
Right. No, they drink water. But we've already planted the seed.
That's hilarious.
Silk and milk. But see, social conditioning, do you see how easy it is?
Yeah.
And you think about like all the commercials, everything that's in front of us is conditioning us, and it's changing us even though we don't know that we're changing.
And I'm trying to be resistant to the change because I don't like this.
Well, I'm just say it's so easy, and so we're programmed to.
And I did say silk in my voice in my head 10 times when you said that.
Yeah. Or like hopefully everybody in the car did it too.
Right.
And it's like, but just do you see how easy that is? And I just thought, wow, it is. I mean, it's been done a million times, and I've heard it, but it was just a good reminder yesterday when I was driving over to the podcast studio. I was like, wow, I knew it was coming and I still did it.
Right.
I still did it in my head. And so, but so that's why I'm just saying, be careful about what you're filling in your head, like the news and,
there is junk food for your mind. There's junk
Yes.
food for your ears. There's junk food for your soul.
Well, yes, getting yourself healthy is not just eating the right foods. It's listening to the right things and getting enough rest. And it's like, it's the things that are happening internally. Because that's all we have, really. I mean, I love it. This is our meat suit. This is the thing to get us from one place to the other.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah, and turning another year older for the meat suit, I took a couple of pictures that I will never post, that they're just mine, because I was practicing being nice to myself about the picture, because I'm always so critical about the pictures. I hate every single picture of me.
I do too. Not of you. But I don't. There's not many. So somebody asked me the other day.
And how do you do it? How do you not hate yourself in a picture?
I usually delete the ones that are really, really bad. But so there's a lot of things. So that's my screensaver. And somebody's like, that is so arrogant to put that on your screensaver.
Yep.
Now, to me, it was taken in a beautiful place. That was me. That is a reminder that I am beautiful and that I can be bold and I can be curious. And so to me, I don't look at that and I don't see me. That inspires me it makes me smile because I remember the moment. And I was being extremely vulnerable in front of Chris, and I was being vulnerable for me. It was the first time I let my guard down and said, I'm going to be bold. I have struggled with my body issues, my body image, my whole life. And that is a reminder to live right now and to take chances on yourself and be bold.
And believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Believe in yourself. Believe you're good enough.
Yeah.
Believe
and
the
so that
body
is
that
a
you're given
reminder
is
to
good
being
enough.
like, yes, even at this age, I can be whatever I want to be. That picture, looking at that picture, it makes me want to be sexy. It makes me want to be bold. It makes me want to explore. So I think that, I mean, I don't really care what somebody else thinks. I know the reason I do it for me.
Yeah. And you shouldn't care what anyone else thinks either.
Yes. Be bold. Go live a great freaking life.
Yeah. That wraps up our
Until
Thursday
next week.
show. Until next week, you're listening to Lisa and Robyn on the mic on WSMN, 1590 AM, 95.3 FM. You can watch, stream, and listen on WSMN.live. If you can you please like and share Elisa and Robyn on the mic on Facebook? We are trying to get our presence up so we can get back on live there. And then you can also catch us on YouTube and catch us out in the real world. We hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time.
Take care.
WSMN 1590. WSMN 95.3 FM Nashua. Listen, watch, and stream at WSMN.live.